First impressions upon being back in Kerala, it is just as I had left it. These deep greens and the rain-washed streets, all the colors I had been dreaming about for months, so waiting for me exactly where I remembered them. You trace letters over the pictures of the climbing vine. I'm in a field you're making. I can see a moonflower awaken. Somewhere way past taken. I don't know what it is about Kochi that has drawn me in for all these years. Every time I felt like I needed to run away during college, I'd somehow find myself here. And every time without fail, it soothed my heart and sent me back. Seashells, voices rising, silver wind chimes. Red clay pots lined up in a row, all come to mind. Braiding purple clover in the summertime. Our hands pressed together, breathing light. I'm in a field you're making. I can see a moonflower awaken. Somewhere way past taken. Kochi also has this strange ability to keep accumulating memories. This time it was Dana and Ashfaq. They were incredibly kind hosts. They took us around everywhere, opened up their lovely home to us and fed us so well. We spent our days moving around the city and our evenings talking and eating and just being together. I hadn't realized how much I had missed being around friends until then. I was and still am a stranger to Kochi. I have no personal ties with this place, yet it never treated me like one. This place gave Afnan and me our first apartment together, simply because I could think of no other place to feel at home, simply because I wanted to be within hand's reach to the Kochi Kyle. I had imagined this trip very differently. I had so many visuals in my head for how I wanted to film Kochi this time. I wanted to wander around with my camera and really look at the city again to capture all those little things I remembered and all the things I had forgotten, but I barely had the time. So all I can say for now is that Kochi is a getaway, a shelter, a warm hug, a cocoon, an embrace, a sense of belonging. I want to reserve the rest of the words for another time. I think when we're often surrounded by family and friends, it's easy to forget to make time for ourselves. Days fill up really quickly with running errands and visiting relatives and sitting around dining tables for long conversations, trying to meet everyone who has been waiting to see you. It's all the wonderful parts of being back, but somewhere in the middle of it, you can forget what it feels like to just be with each other. So this trip to Wayanad came together almost accidentally. I don't think I can even call it a trip. We weren't trying to chase the waterfalls or trying to come up with a list of places to visit. We just wanted a little time away from everything else, a day where we could just wake up at our own pace, slowly drink tea without rushing, maybe read a few pages and just exist without having somewhere else to be. We left behind the familiar roads and began climbing into the mountains. The further we went, the traffic thinned, the air grew cool, and the landscape slowly changed from crowded streets to winding roads surrounded by trees. Oh, it's very pretty. Our home for the next day was the Writer's Inn. It's this little red house tucked away behind layers of green with wild plants reclaiming its walls and a balcony that overlooks the distant mountains. Its wooden doors groan softly when they open, and its patterned tiles still hold the chill of the morning beneath our feet. There are dusty books resting on the shelves, old English magazines yellowing at the edges, and electric switches that belong to a completely different era. There are colored glass windows that paint the rooms with fragments of light. After lunch, Afnan had fallen asleep. I couldn't. The afternoon light streaming through the balcony carried me back to another set of afternoons years ago. I vividly remember those afternoons at my father's house in Maritangod, back when my mother and I lived with my father's family. In our tarwad stood a large cuckoo clock that played a little cheerful melody every hour as the hands came together. I remember those afternoons most vividly because the house would fall completely silent. Everyone disappeared into their post-lunch slumber, but I never slept. It often felt as though the entire village had drifted off to sleep except for me. All that remained was the low hum of cicadas and the rustle of palm fronds swaying in the gentle breeze. But at least the whole afternoon belonged to me. I spent it chasing patches of golden noonlight as they moved across the floors and walls. It meant that I could disappear into my own imagination and create my own stories. Then at 4 o'clock, the clock would chime and the cuckoo would emerge to announce that it was time for tea. The house slowly came back to life. The kitchen filled with familiar sounds again as cuttin was brewed and evening snacks were prepared. Years later, here I am chasing the same light. Before I knew it, it was time for tea. I wonder why walking for the sake of walking never really became part of how we inhabit our neighborhoods. We walk because we have somewhere to go, something to buy, or someone to meet. Of course, walkable cities are rare here, but it's also that if I went out for a walk by myself in Malpuram or Kecheri, I would be inviting a lot of strange gazes. The path around Pukod Lake was fairly empty, only small groups of tourists here and there. I spotted some mushrooms growing on fallen logs, wild moss gathering on the bark, and the tiny movements in the undergrowth. Above it all, the cicadas carry on their impossible orchestra. It's always surprising to me how something so small can make an entire forest sound alive.
Action.
Finally getting some rain. But it's also sunny at the same time. So, yeah. We spent the afternoon walking around Pukod Lake with a soft drizzle following us through the trees. I was still waiting for the proper monsoon rain. Outside there were stalls lined with pickled fruits. Who could resist salted chambakyas? I almost couldn't. Normally I'd have reached for one without thinking, but I was still recovering from a bout of food poisoning and I couldn't bring myself to risk the irresistible combination of salt, chili and sour fruit. Afnan, of course, had no such reservations. And because for me, no trip feels complete without coffee, we wandered into a tiny cafe in Vaitri town that serves and sells locally grown and roasted beans. I was already sold the moment I walked in. There were shelves lined with different roasts, the unmistakable smell of freshly ground coffee in the air, and, to my surprise, an affogato on the menu. Of course, we ordered it immediately. The espresso was rich and unmistakably bold, melting slowly into the vanilla ice cream, but with the right amount of caffeine hit. It was exactly the kind of coffee stop I hope to stumble upon whenever I travel. So if you're coming by this site and you enjoy coffee as much as I do, don't forget to order the affogato from here.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
By the time we got back, blue hour had settled over the neighborhood. One by one, the lights in the houses came on, and soon the lights at the writer's inn began to glow too. By night time, though, the house had gone quiet again. The lights outside glowed softly through the windows. The mountains had disappeared into the darkness, and slowly my body began to feel a little bit more settled. Okay, I have an irrational fear of lizards. Actually, I'd argue it's a perfectly irrational fear for reasons I'm not going to get into right now because they're not my favorite memories to revisit. Either way, I didn't sleep much last night. I kept dreaming about lizards and snakes, about reptiles slipping through the roof, so I spent most of the night lying awake waiting for morning. Afnan, on the other hand, woke up full of energy and headed out for tea. I wanted to stay behind for a while and soak in the last few hours in this little house before we made our way back. It only felt right to do a little writing while staying at the writer's inn. I don't go anywhere without a journal and a pen, so that part was already taken care of. I picked up this journal at the Kochi Biennale in 2019. Since then, it's followed me through countless trips and more versions of myself that I can count. I keep reaching for it whenever I need a small notebook, and every now and then, I'll stumble across an old entry. It's always strange to hear the voice of someone who is me, yet somehow feels like a different person. I think she was a far better writer than I am now. The packet of coffee we bought in town yesterday was still sitting on the counter. I rarely do drink instant coffee these days, but in a place like this with no grinder or brewing equipment, it felt exactly right. The kettle came to a boil just as Afnan returned, and we shared a cup, letting the morning stretch a little longer before it was time to leave.
So you are a philosopher who shoots.
Just say filmmaker.
Oh,
just say
filmmaker.
artist. Just say
Artist.
cinematographer. Like എന്തൊക്കെ നല്ല വാക്കുകളുണ്ട് director.
Yeah, you're a
Vlogger.
filmmaker. You're a filmmaker actually, and a storyteller.
Yes.
How about that? Yeah. You're a filmmaker. Plus you're a storyteller. You're an amazing storyteller. Voice ഒന്നും കിട്ടില്ലല്ലോ. വോയിസ് വേണ്ടല്ലോ. വോയിസ് എനിക്ക് ഇഷ്ടമില്ല. എനിക്ക് ഇന്ന വോയിസ് അത്ര ഇഷ്ടമില്ല. പക്ഷേ
Take a sip.
ഫിലിം മേക്കർ ആണെന്നുള്ളത് 100% ഇത്. And I'm really happy that you do it. ഓവറല്ല, ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഓർഗാനിക്കലി വരുന്ന റെസ്പോൺസാണ്. വെരി മൈൽഡ്
മതി. ഞാൻ അത്രയും ഇനി കാഫീൻ കയറ്റിയാൽ
അതിന് മാത്രമൊന്നും caffeine ഇല്ലേ.
നീ ആക്ഷൻ പറഞ്ഞാൽ അപ്പൊ മെത്തഡ് ആക്ടറാണ് ഞാൻ. അങ്ങനെ സോറി അതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ ഞാൻ പാനലൊന്ന് കയറ്റി ജസ്റ്റ്.
ഒക്കെ കിട്ടുട്ടോ അതില്.
പക്ഷെ അത് ഈ എഡിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുമല്ലോ, ഇത് നല്ലൊരു എഡിറ്ററും കൂടിയാണല്ലോ.
എല്ലാം ഞാൻ തന്നെ.
ഇനി കൂട്ടല്ലേ.
As we packed our bags and headed downstairs, our lovely caretaker, Rajendra Bhaiya, stopped us before we left. He insisted we couldn't go without seeing the little viewpoint just above the house. Before we set off, he handed us a bottle of sanitizer to spray on our feet. Apparently, it keeps the leeches away. The walk up was short, stone steps wound through clusters of tiny violet flowers with rambutan trees hanging overhead. The view at the top wasn't grand or dramatic, but I think it didn't have to be. I think it was still worth the climb. It's just a little excuse to pause and to look around, to remember where you are. And besides, who knows when I'll find myself in the mountains again. I hope it won't be too long.
ഓ മാൻ, ഇവിടുന്ന് കാണുന്ന വ്യൂ
ഞാൻ നോക്കിയിരിക്കാണ്.
By the time we made it back down, the leeches had helped themselves to both of us. Afnan, unfortunately, was their favorite.
ഓ മൈ ഗോഡ്, അതിന്റെ ഇടയിൽ ഭയങ്കര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് ബ്ലഡി.
Goes, what do you do in Malappuram? You go to Calicut. We find ourselves here quite often, especially when it comes to doctor's appointments, but I'll spare you the details of my chronic pain. When it comes to cafes, Baker & Co is one place here that I keep wanting to come back to. Everything they make, the baked goods, the coffee, is perfection. No one does French baking better around here. This is my sister Jenna, who is very excited that she finally got to come here. Unfortunately, I got to spend very little time with her this time around. She keeps growing in the blink of an eye, and being an elder sibling is really not for the weak. Cafe Cana is another favorite. I used to be a frequent at their Kochi cafe, and I genuinely think they have some of the best coffee in the south. They know what they're doing and they do it well. Honestly, I think their coffee is better than most of what I've had in Chicago. The only problem is that it seems to be busy almost all the time, which isn't exactly ideal for someone who is always looking for a quiet corner.
I've told you before about this the Ganu graveyard. Kannambaramb്
ഓർമ്മയില്ല.
പണ്ട് ഇവിടെ ഇത് വന്നിട്ട് സൂര്യ ബാധിച്ചിട്ട് like thousands of people died together. So ഹിന്ദു മാത്രമല്ല, ഹിന്ദുക്കളുടെയും ഇവിടെ ഖബറാണ്. ഇതിലൊക്കെ ഭീകരം.
I've been thinking a lot about how much the geography of a place shapes the way people spend their time, especially in Calicut, where so much of leisure seems to revolve around the beach. Everyone steps out in the evening and somehow ends up by the sea. The sunset is an event and it has its dedicated audiences. I imagine it would be different in a mountain town. When the sun goes down and the air gets colder, perhaps you naturally retreat indoors and begin winding down for the day. But seaside towns seem to come alive in the evening. The food stalls stay open late into the night and families linger outside. Eventually, the beach becomes a shared public. I wish I'd had more time to capture Calicut the way it deserves to be captured. There's so much about the city that I feel like I've only managed to glimpse. Hopefully, another time. For someone whose inner world is so dense with thoughts, I still find it difficult to find the right words for what it feels like to inhabit a world from the margins. I've always felt like a visitor in Kerala, despite technically being born here. As the firstborn daughter of Gulf migrant parents, I was always running to and from somewhere. 9 times out of 10, when I returned to my hometown, our house was empty. It smelled of damp and mold. In fact, I can still smell it. Sometimes I feel like belonging feels like eating a piece of fruit. You devour both the sweetness and the sourness. You savor what you can, and then eventually you reach the seed. You spit it out. Now that I'm married, I'm a visitor to yet another small town somewhere in Malappuram. Once again, I find myself at the edges, dipping my toes in but never fully submerging myself in the waters. I think this is what coming home has always meant to me, knowing the taste of a place intimately without ever quite knowing what it means to belong to it. And now it's time to leave again, to take a little sweetness with me, to spit out the seeds, to leave things behind forgetfully before everything begins to stir again. Next time I see you, I have a few things to say about this thing we all call home.